What up, Coda Crew?
All right, guys. So earlier in the week, we talked about what happens when you ingest carbs, the way that you burn them, what happens if you don't burn them all, etc. William did a nifty little science experiment. Compliments of Kevin Schutz. That was a great idea. We love it. We steal it all the time. I actually get to participate in this one because I can't make a mess, so you're welcome. All right, if you had questions on the previous video, either go ahead, give it another gander. It might make sense the second time, or if you're still just totally lost, please reach out to us, Kev, Casey, your team leader, with questions. We want you to understand this. It's super important and makes things a lot easier when they're more applicable to your life.
And we'd love to help.
Absolutely. So quick synopsis, carbs either refill your liver or glycogen stores, or they enter your bloodstream. And then when they enter your bloodstream, they can either be used as quick fuel or they can encourage an insulin response. If we haven't driven into your head right now, we're going to do it hopefully today. An insulin response means that you're asking your body to store. When you're asking your body to store, you're asking your body to then create fat. So our insulin response can vary. Carbs can be used up in a workout. If they are used in a workout, they obviously don't stay in the bloodstream. If they stay in the bloodstream, unused carbs elicit insulin. And then over time, if we have too many unused carbs, we're going to increase our dulled insulin response. And so that's just our body adapting to what we give it. Our bodies love to adapt to stress, which is why diets and that kind of stuff actually do work. It's just constantly trying to find a homeostasis. A good example of this would be if you're driving down to Commerce City, when you're passing the power plants and stuff, you're oh gosh, this smells so bad. But if you live in Commerce City, I'm sorry, but if you live in Commerce City, you probably don't notice how badly it smells. Same thing with people who go to school at UNC in Greeley, all that cow poop smell, you just get used to it. I heard something about Oklahoma also smelling pretty badly, so.
Dig.
Casey Mack would know. Okay, anyways, so eventually your pancreas will get overworked if you continue to dull your insulin response. And if it's overworked and underpaid, then bam, that's when type 2 diabetes sets in. There's other studies out there right now that are actually confirming that Alzheimer's is more similar to a type 3 diabetes. So your pancreas, again, overworked, underpaid, and all of a sudden your central nervous system just starts getting attacked. So this is something that we want to actually pay a ton of attention to because the majority of the US, about 80%, actually is metabolically unhealthy, which could mean that maybe you are. It's not super difficult to turn around, but it is something that we should be aware of, and there's a couple strategies that you can use to become aware of that as we go through this week. For example, some people actually do want some insulin in their bloodstream, and William's gonna talk a little bit about those people.
So when we are in that performance realm, right, we don't want our muscles to be used up as that carb source. And so that's where we do want those carbs in our system. So we want to fill that cup right up to the brim, and then keep it there so that we can continually hit those workouts and hit them at a high intensity. For people who are learning or trying to lose some body fat, it's very important to kind of taper that just a little bit so that when we start our day with that protein and dietary fat, then we elicit that reverse response from insulin. We elicit the glucagon response, and we start pulling carbs from our fat stores.
So if you've ever had one of those really maddening conversations with Riley or Casey, they're the main culprits who are like, oh man, I just can't keep weight on. I really want to gain some weight. Oh, I need to put some weight on. Never have I ever had that conversation in the gym. And if you know, you know. So they're the people in the gym who like to maybe try to put on some weight quickly in a short amount of time. And that's when insulin in your bloodstream can actually be a good thing. So Casey Mack probably is going to come the open time, really be hoovering some carbs, right? That would actually be something that could benefit him, especially as he's trying to continue to build muscle, get some more reserves, etc. You will not see me doing that, but I will be watching jealously from afar. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we can kind of identify which carbs really work for us. There's a bunch of theories as to why some do, some don't, but the big thing to kind of remember here is that not all carbs are created equal. Similar to when we talk about ingesting a quality product. We're going to talk a little bit about the quantity here, but quality matters because this is actually where you start feeling the results and how your body adapts. So I'm going to talk about what body comp is doing this week. If you're on the body comp track, on Wednesday, you're going to ingest one type of carbohydrate. That means you're only getting your carb source from veggies. We'll dive into this in a second. If you are on the body comp track, on Thursday, you're only going to get your carbs from starchy carbohydrates. That's going to be like root vegetables like potatoes, squash, things that are a little bit more dense. And you might notice a difference in how you're feeling after, as well as how your performance is, your energy levels, your crash. We'll go into that. On Friday, you're going to get it strictly from fruits. My only caveat here is that if you're going to do dried fruits, that's okay, but make sure that the dried fruits don't have extra sugar added. That's usually a place where people get into trouble. If you are on the muscle gain and performance track,
on Wednesday, you are going to get all of your carbohydrates from those starchy carbohydrates. So think your root vegetables, your purple potatoes, sweet potatoes. If you haven't tried a parsnip, try a parsnip. Maybe a turnip comes in that day. Thursday, you are going to get your carbohydrates from rice and oats. Again, try and have that be a quality source, so steel cut oats, not like quick oats. And then Friday, you're going to hit the carb source from fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, so this is really, really beneficial because different carbohydrates affect different people differently. It also is kind of going to give you an idea about what your insulin response is like. If you are super high energy for your workouts on some of those days, maybe those carbs are really, really beneficial for you. Maybe they digest easy, you're able to get a quick nutrient breakdown. If you find yourself crashing and fatigued, they might not be. Same with sluggish or amped, sleeping. How's your sleep when you're eating those kinds of carbs? What is your recovery like? That's all really, really important. We want you to notate how you feel because this will tell you so much about what you should be eating, more than just us on a video. There are a bunch of other carbohydrate intakes or sources as well that you can intake. That would be like the candy, the cookies, the cereal, all that stuff. And that's great. You can absolutely test that this week if you're not on my team. It's only a point, so go for it. But it's really powerful to know. Personally, I do really well with fruits. I actually don't do as well with veggies. I get kind of bloated and gassy with most of them. I do well with the starchy carbs, etc. William is a veggie machine. I don't really think there's not a carb he doesn't do well. And he does fart with candy, but this is getting to be too much. So if you have questions, let us know. Otherwise, have a great week experimenting this, and we'll see you soon.
Carb it up, guys.